Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all doing today? Today we're going to be discussing shoulders and how to get them healthy, right? Because I come from a background in my fitness fitness journey, right? Where I actually had really unhealthy shoulders. And throughout the years, you know, I've tried everything, man. I've tried put the tiny spiky ball right here and rub around it because it's your pec that's tight, that's pulling your shirt in. And while that's all and good and fun, right, I don't think it's really the proper way to rebuild the shoulders, right? So I would say that my shoulders went from my biggest weakness to actually my biggest strength. If you guys look at my physique, I would say fairly decent shoulders. They're quite large, quite capped, I would say, and they feel great, right? That's the number one thing, is they feel great. The reason why my shoulders were so unhealthy beforehand is I actually I still do. I do Muay Thai, but I was doing some boxing too, like kind of like both of them at the same time, and I was throwing tens of thousands of punches a week, man, like just so many punches. And you know, when you're throwing punches, you're really kind of like snapping that shoulder, protracting the scapula, and really just kind of putting stress in that horizontal plane, you know, throwing those shoulders forward, right? On top of this, and then poor form with some of my lifts due to lack of knowledge on it, which we talked about in the ego lifting video, if you guys saw that. I had quite unhealthy shoulders to the point where, you know, it was really painful. I remember sometimes like doing this, right? And it would just hurt so bad and I couldn't even like really move it. And I legitimately, I can't speak. Also, I'm going to shut my window because, I don't think the lighting is good. Okay, now that I'm in my dark lair, yeah, it looks a little bit better. Hopefully you guys can see me well. But like I was saying, I legitimately thought that I had I thought I had torn a rotator cuff or a labrum or something like that, and I thought my shoulder was fucked, right? So it was pretty scary. But today I'm going to be going through a three-step process to get your shoulders back to health, right? So this is what I personally did to get my shoulders. Again, this is all anecdotal. I'm not a kinesiology major. I'm not a doctor. I haven't read peer-reviewed studies, right? You know what I mean? I just exercised and built my shoulders up myself. That's my evidence, okay? So try this for yourself if you guys want to, or not. Do whatever you guys think is best for you. But if you are looking for an answer to your shoulder health and the shoulder size, because honestly, your shoulders get big from this regimen too, look no further. Okay, so step one, step one is actually a couple things about it. So number one, you guys need to get out of this mindset where it is rest, ice, compression, I think, and elevation, okay? When you immobilize an injury, all you do is stop blood flow, which stops nutrients to the tissue and stops the healing process, right? It might get rid of the pain. It might get rid of the swelling, yes, because you're taking blood out of the area. Of course, swelling is when blood is going to the area. It's when you're actually healing the injury. The blood is going to there. It's all those proteins are going off, right? And we're healing our injury, right? But when you ice it, which I don't think icing is terrible, you're taking away that stuff, right? So, ice isn't the main problem. It's the immobilization. It's the, oh, don't move it. It's the, oh, don't do this with your shoulder, right? Don't raise your shoulder overhead, right? Like, what? You're going to tell someone to not raise their shoulder overhead? Or, hey, don't bend your knees or don't bend your back. Make sure you keep a neutral spine when you're going down. This applies to any type of injury, right? We want to actually drive body fluid, what the fuck? We want to drive blood and all these proteins, enzymes, and stuff into the tissue, right? So what do you guys think, right? So we're not gonna do that through like crazy. I'm not saying, oh, if you get a hurt knee, go fucking run 6 miles, right? I'm not saying if you get a hurt shoulder, just freaking start overhead pressing like freaking as much weight as you can. You know what I mean? Don't do that, right? I'm saying we need to move it. So we need to do very, very light, very, very slow, like very fragile movements, right? So for the shoulders specifically, I have a couple that I really like. So I like the external rotation movement from knees over toes guy. I don't have videos of these movements, so I'm going to try to demonstrate them the best I can. Basically, you get on a bench, you hold yourself here, you get a dumbbell in this hand, you put it up against your knee, you kind of like puff your chest out, and we're doing this motion here. We're externally rotating the shoulder. Because as you guys know, a lot of shoulder injuries are simply from overuse of the front deltoid, right? A lot of benching and stuff like that. A lot of only one plane of motion. We're only pushing forward. We're not even pushing up or pulling back, right? So our shoulders get damaged. So I like the external rotation for very, very beginning healing, right? So again, guys, super low weight, like 5 pounds literally. You're doing that for really high repetitions, right? Like 5 sets of 20. Just getting a bunch of blood into that area in the shoulder, right? Another one, of course, you guys all know this one. It's the face pull, right? Like everyone knows about the face pull because of Athlete X. It's kind of a meme, but there's actually truth in the face pull because it is just a super light, externally rotating movement, right? Again, we're going super low weight. Come in here. I like to do it with a band, and I put my hands in the band and I pull back, right? And I'm really puffing my chest out and I'm getting good external rotation. External rotation is when we're rotating our shoulder outward. So I'm really trying to rotate the shoulder outward and I'm pinching in the back. I usually do a pause there too. Okay, so external rotation and the face pull is a great start for anyone who has shoulder pain to start implementing those into your regimen. Another one I like that's a little bit more, I would say it's a little bit more like, you know, make sure your shoulders aren't in dire pain before doing this, but it's a thoracic pullover. So you guys will have to search it up. Knees Over Toes guy popularized it. Basically, I really like it. It opens up your thoracic cage in this area right here, right? It helps you get back into that bending motion. It's basically just a lat pullover on steroids. Okay, so if you guys know what a pullover is, it's when you're on the bench and you get the dumbbell and you go back here, right? But with the thoracic pullover, you actually go on the side of the bench and you put the bench right into the center of your thoracic spine, right? So your back is kind of forced to bend back. And then you go back with the dumbbell, right? And you're getting a huge stretch. Actually, in my last short, it's kind of a meme, the short. I'm actually doing this exercise. Man, this exercise is great because it stretches you out so fucking well, dude. And you get that amazing stretch through the chest, through the, just this whole area here, allowing you to move those shoulders up and back, right? Because a lot of people say, oh, I can't raise my shoulders overhead. You should be able to do this comfortably with no pain, right? But a lot of people can. The thoracic pullover basically lets you do that. So again, go super light, high repetitions, high sets, like 5 sets of 10. We're going for blood flow here, okay? So think almost chase the pump, like literally. You're not doing it to build muscle, you're doing it to recover the tissue, but that's what you want. You want the blood rushing into the tissue, okay? That is step 1. So really baby exercises, external rotations, face pulls, thoracic pullovers, all those, right? Those are exercises I use to kind of like start this whole thing going. Again, you can use your own kind or whatever, but basically step 1 is use super light, low intensity exercises. Step 2, once your shoulders are healthy and you can actually progress on those movements. So for me, I can do like a 20-pound dumbbell external rotation for 10 reps, 3 sets, like right here. So I have a pretty strong external rotation in my shoulders, right? So now we can move on to more intensive shoulder exercises, right? So overhead press. Man, dude, overhead press, I talked about how to get bigger delts. This is not the same thing. This is shoulder health. The first video I made on the channel was how to get bigger delts, how to add mass to your delts, okay? This is about shoulder health, right? But overhead press, likewise, when you're doing this motion, right, when you're coming here and pushing up with a large sum of weight in your hands, you're actually improving your shoulder health because we're strengthening through that range of motion, right? So I always say no exercise is inherently dangerous, which we're going to get, actually, I'm going to save that no exercise is inherently dangerous for the third step. But overhead press, when you're going through that range of motion, you're getting your body more comfortable having your arms straight overhead, right? And we're adding weight onto this after we recovered our tissues. So now we're building the muscles around the tissues to get us more comfortable in that overhead position, right? When I started doing overhead press, I noticed that my shoulders hurt less. I don't even really bench anymore because I just love overhead press, right? That's not to say I won't go back to bench one day. I probably will go back to bench one day when I want to either progress on it or I just want to do it for a specific reason. But yeah, like I don't really bench. I do weighted dips and I do overhead press because I love those movements. They're fun. So I would say start implementing some heavy overhead press, right? We're doing it for strength. We're doing it, or, you know, you can do your 4 sets of 8, 4 sets of 10. I personally do 5 sets of 5, 4 sets of 6. And then, you know, sometimes I go for singles. I'm really getting into overhead pressing strength. But basically the point is add some type of overhead pressing movement into your regimen, right? And a lot of people say you don't have to lock out for overhead press. Okay, yeah, for the hypertrophy benefit of the shoulder, you don't have to lock out. But when you do lock out, you actually, I think this is internal rotation of the yeah, I believe it's internal rotation of the shoulder. I might be wrong. But when you lock out and you push your head forward, again, you're getting more range of motion through that shoulder girdle, through those joints, through those ligaments. And again, it's all really good for you guys, okay? So make sure we're locking out at the top. And then the next thing in step 2 is you're gonna add more pulls. So I love working my back already. I think it's one of the best muscle groups just for overall health of the body, for aesthetics, and for lifts, man. Excuse me. Your front squat, your cleans, all that shit, you fucking need those pulls, right, to increase that back strength in order to stay through, right? So it applies with shoulder health too. So we want to start doing more rows, more pull-ups, overhead pressing. I feel like I need a sneeze. Yeah, but anyway, through doing all these, right, we're gonna increase our shoulder strength, we're gonna increase our back strength, which is gonna increase our posture, all that good stuff, right? So that's step 2. It's pretty short and sweet. Now we're moving on to step 3, this is where the fun stuff starts, okay? So this is where some of you are gonna kind of start questioning my methods here, but hear me out. Okay, so step 3, you wanna start implementing exercises that are quote unquote dangerous to the shoulders, right? And this is where I was talking about no exercise is inherently dangerous. So I'm talking about exercises like the behind the neck press or the Klokov press. I'm talking about upright rows, right? Upright rows. Jeff Cavalier was like, don't do an upright row, you're gonna snap your shit. Jeff Cavalier, come on, man. Come on, Jeff, come on. Like really deep ATG dips where you're just letting that stretch go through your chest and front delt. These kind of movements is what we're gonna be really prioritizing with step 3, right? Now, I know you guys say, oh, like behind the neck press, that's such a dangerous exercise, right? Oh, upright rows, I heard that's a really dangerous exercise. Dude, yes, these exercises are dangerous if you haven't done the first 2 steps in order to increase your shoulder mobility, of course, right? Like someone who's never squatted deep before, if you put 2 plates on, if they can squat to parallel, 2 plates, right? And it's like a struggle for them and their knees cave and stuff like that. Okay, I'm gonna put you on a front squat, and I want you to go ATG and then get out of the bottom, right? They're probably not gonna have the mobility to do that, and if they keep doing it, they're either gonna get an overuse injury or they're gonna get a freak injury and snap their knees up, right? So it's the same principle with the shoulder, right? We want to exercise mainly external rotation, right? So like I was saying, the face pull, this bullshit right here with the dumbbell, the knees over toes guy exercise, right? We want to exercise those in order to then start doing behind the neck press, right? Which I've been doing a lot of recently. But yeah, so again, with these movements, we're going to progress them extremely slowly. Like behind the neck press, I think I started doing it maybe 6 to 7, 8 weeks ago. And I started 3 sets of 15 with just the barbell. And at first I was just doing it for shoulder mass because behind the neck press builds that upper back, those rear delts, those medial delts. It takes a lot less strain off the chest, the upper chest, and the front delt, which is used a lot in a ton of movements that we do, but also it's used a lot in the overhead press, right? So it also gets you a bias on that back, those rear delts, it just blows you up, right? So I was doing it for a mass builder exercise, but also it's great for shoulder health if you're doing it right, because you're going pure external rotation. It's like the progression of knees over toes guy with this ATG split squat stuff, right? That knees over toes motion, right? You progress it with less than body weight. Then you do body weight, and then you slowly move down to the floor. It's the same thing with this. You start with your external rotation movements, right? Then you move to your just regular overhead press. Now we're doing behind the neck press with super low weight. Now we're doing behind the neck press with heavier weights. Now we're doing behind the neck press with Klokov type weights, right? One day. But all those things, right? We're slowly tapping into shoulder ability and shoulder mobility, okay? And with the upright row, I just think it's number one. It just blows your fucking delts up, dude. If you are looking for bigger shoulders and you don't do upright rows, man, I beg you to add them to your regimen and at least try them, because I guarantee you're gonna get insane results with that, right? Again, I don't go super heavy on the upright row. It's an accessory movement. It's for aesthetics, right? So I do it maybe 8 to 12 repetitions, and I mainly go for that nice pull and then that slow E-turn, eccentric. We're staying in the scapular plane, so that's when your elbows are at about 45-degree angle, right? So we're not coming back here, right? I used to think, oh, if I do an upright row and I externally rotate my shoulder, maybe it would be better. Actually, that started hurting me more when I just went here, right? So, guys, don't be afraid to do those movements. Again, progress them very slowly. I can't stress that enough. Start with the baby weight. progressively overload it from baby weight. Do high reps at first. Do high reps just to get blood flow. Then you can start adding the weight, and you guys will see that your shoulders will get extremely healthy from this, okay? I personally use this for my own benefit. Let me know what you guys think about this, okay? Let me know if you guys have had any shoulder pain or any pain in general in the past, hips, knees, whatever, tendonitis, elbows, anything like that. Let me know what you guys thought had that pain, and let me know what you guys did, and let me know what you guys think of this. So let me just end the video by saying no exercise is inherently dangerous, okay? All the boomers that tell you, oh, when you're 40, your knees are gonna go. No, they won't go if you exercise properly. Okay, so what does that mean? Just use good form, use good judgment, do research, keep learning about all this shit, and you guys will be fine, okay? So if you guys liked the video, good for you. Hope you all enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Hope this helped.